What's up guys, my name is Fran and once again, welcome back. And in today's video, we're going to be checking out yet another eGPU enclosure. This time we're actually going to be checking out the Akitio Node Pro. Now, if you guys get a chance to check out my last video, I actually took some time to check out the Akitio Node Lite. Now, while it did actually work as an eGPU enclosure, as I mentioned in that video, it's not actually an eGPU enclosure. So I took the liberty of running out and picking up the Akitio Node Pro. Now, the Akitio Node Pro is Akitio's latest offering in eGPU technology. It's a lot smaller than the original Akitio Node, and this one actually just seems to offer a lot more features. So in this video, we're going to be putting it through its paces and once again checking it out. So starting off at the front of the unit, you notice there isn't any mesh panels. That's because most of the ventilation is actually done on the side of the actual unit. So swinging around to the side, we are going to notice a big nice mesh panel here, and this is where a lot of the air intake will actually come from. Now, actually speaking of air intake, if we swing down to the bottom of the Akitio Node Pro, we're going to actually notice, I think it looks like about a 90mm fan here. Now, this is actually set up in a pull configuration, meaning it will be pulling the air from inside of the case outside through the bottom. Now we all know heat does rise. I'm not sure how this actually works, but it seems to keep the graphics card pretty cool because when checking out the temperatures, there wasn't much of a difference when the graphics card was at full load inside of the eGPU enclosure versus sitting on top of the open air test bench. Now, when it does come to some of the noise that this fan does make in the Akitio Node Pro, I'm going to say it is a little bit audible. Turning your attention to the top of the Akitio Node Pro, there's not really much going on here, except if you tap in the very middle of the Akitio Node, you will see a handle pop up. Now, this can be kind of helpful if you are moving the Akitio Node Pro around with the graphics card in it. Maybe you're a video editor and you need to take your graphics card with you to hook up to your laptop on a job. That's pretty helpful. Or maybe you're going to a LAN party and you're bringing your eGPU box. That'd be helpful as well. But other than that, it doesn't have much more utility. So turning our attention to the back of the Akitio Node Pro, this is where a lot of the meat and potatoes are. So here you're going to see your AC connector for the power supply for the Akitio Node Pro. You're going to see two Thunderbolt 3 ports, a display port, and you're also going to notice two empty Pci Express slots. And I'm going to touch a little bit more on that once we get to the inside of the Akitio Node Pro. And then just above that are going to be two thumb screws. So once you actually do undo these two thumb screws and then slide back on the top, this will reveal the inside of the Akitio Node Pro. Now, looking top down into it, you are going to notice a few things. Number one, like I mentioned before, there are two empty Pci Express slots because this Akitio Node Pro can take some pretty beefy graphics cards. I'm not sure if it's going to take a triple slotter because, as you'll also notice, this box over here, this is actually the Akitio Node Pro guts. Basically, this is the Thunderbolt 3 connector that we saw towards the back. As you can also see, it also houses the Pci Express slot. So if you're to take this out, you probably wouldn't be able to use the Akitio Node Pro, so I definitely don't recommend that. And then a little bit more towards that, this is where you're going to actually see the top-down view of the pull configuration fan that's inside of the Akitio Node Pro. And then a little bit more towards that, you're going to notice the two 8-pin ATX power connectors. Now, that's because the Akitio Node Pro does have a 500-watt power supply in it, so that is plenty of juice to pretty much power almost any graphics card, at least one single graphics card that's out on the market today. Now, speaking of graphics cards, for our experiment, we're actually going to be whipping out the EVGA GTX 1080 Ti. Now, the GTX 1080 Ti only has a TDP of about 250 watts, so that should be plenty of power to power this graphics card. So as far as the actual system we're going to be testing on, I've actually dubbed it the blah blah system. So that's going to be featuring an ASRock Fatality Z370 motherboard that features an onboard Thunderbolt 3 connector. It's also going to be powered by an i7-8700 blah blah blah, 16GB of Corsair blah blah blah, power supply, RAM, and once again, you guys get the deal. For this benchmark, I tested out Fortnite, PlayerUnknown's Battleground, and Overwatch. I also tested out the Final Fantasy 15 demo and also threw in Star Wars Battlefront 2. And then I did also throw in the classics, the Tomb Raider, as well as Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor. So looking at some of these benchmarking numbers compared to when I did my Akitio Node Lite video featuring the GTX 1050, the gap between the performance of the internal graphics card and the external graphics card in most situations was a little bit wider. My theory when it comes to the performance discrepancy between the internal 1080 Ti and the eGPU 1080 Ti actually has to do with bandwidth. My theory is that the demand for higher bandwidth in these higher end graphics cards is actually greater than that of the GTX 1050. But in all honesty, this might be taking us down a rabbit hole that deserves its own video by itself. Maybe I'll try to do that sometime in the future. But as of right now, turning our attention back to the Akitio Node Pro enclosure itself, I think for its $359 price tag, it checks all the boxes, at least for me, and it's probably one of the best external graphics card enclosures I've ever used. And as I mentioned before, there are a lot of competitors coming to the market with external graphics card enclosures, but some of them are a little bit too big, some of them are a little bit too flashy. It seems like the Akitio Node Pro gets right in that sweet spot of being not too expensive at its $359 price tag and being very aesthetically pleasing and performing really well. But let me know what you guys think about the Akitio Node Pro in the comment section below. Also, while you're down there, if you like this video, hit the like button, and if you aren't already subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. Once again, guys, my name is Fran. Thanks so much for checking out another eGPU video, and I'll see you guys in my next one.